So, is that now just showing a past, present, and future?
Yep, you're good.
Okay, I apologize if this is very rusty. It's about 15 years since I last did a PowerPoint and this sort of presentation. I also apologize if any of the code decides to break. When I first showed it to the rest of the JED team, it did that as well. So just so we've got some expectations, going to cover who I am, how did I get involved, what I want to cover here today. So as I said to some of you earlier, my name's Mark. I am from the UK. I live on a small island off the north coast of England. I've used Joomla since 1.5, and before that I used Mambo, and have written custom modifications for clients pretty much from 1.5 onwards. I have a background in creating solutions, which ranges from writing a complete stock management for a company second largest to Amazon, through to building full server arrays and putting them in. So post-COVID, or part of COVID, December 2020, I was helping out on Facebook in one of the Joomla groups, and I got contacted by a guy called Marco Dings, who was the production manager, I think, production team lead, something like that. Anyway, he asked whether I wanted to get more involved and invited me to have a shared Google Meet with about 6 other people. And we talked through what I'd done, where I'd been, what I'd been doing. And the suggestion was that I join the JED team. I'll get on to what JED is and what the team does in a minute, but that felt like that was the best fit for what would help Joomla. So I started out as a volunteer, and I have been working on the new JED 4 code. I've gone from being the volunteer developer to becoming the assistant team leader. And then when the team leader stepped down about a month ago, I've become the team leader. So that's kind of who I am, what I got, how I got involved, and this is what I hope to cover. Do you all know what JED is? Have you come across it? Okay, that should be a nice, quick and easy session. Do a brief overview of what the JED team does, show you a little bit about the current JED and why it's an absolute nightmare. Show you some of the new prototype code and what I've got it doing. Hopefully trying to entice you to come and help and volunteer, get back to Joomla, which I know quite a few of you already do. And then any questions. So within Joomla, as an organization, it's split into departments. You have a production department, an operations department, an outreach department. And within those departments are teams. So production has the CMS release team, it has documentation team, it has a security strike team, and the Joomla enhancement team, the new one. And then within operations, you have the forum team, the volunteers portal team, and the extensions directory. The extensions directory is a list, basically, of developed extensions. Anyone that writes an extension can list it there. It can be a free thing, it can be a paid thing. It allows people to write reviews, search, download. Basically, it's just a big database. And if that was just a task for the JED team, it would be a relatively easy one. So the extensions directory software, or the JED team, maintain the software. I say maintain, I mean we kind of coax it and wrangle it to keep going because it's quite an old lady by now. But as well as that, we are working on a new version and new tools, and the JED team is a mix of both the developers behind the scenes and ticket handlers. So every review that comes in creates a ticket. Every time an enhancement, an extension's uploaded, a ticket's created, and we have to review it. We have to run it through a JED checker. We have to make sure it's not going to hack all your details and send them out somewhere. So we have an amazing team of 3, I think it is at the moment, plus me, who deal with these deal with these tickets. And then we also have within the group a lady who deals with vulnerable items. So if something's reported that it's been abandoned or a known vulnerability, that all gets put in as well. But the key thing is we're all unpaid volunteers. We deal with, on average, about 150 tickets a week, sometimes a lot less, sometimes a stupid amount more. So this is what JED looks like on the inside. It was written in a custom version of Fabric. I don't know if you've ever heard of Fabric, but it was an application development environment that sits on top of Joomla. I used it to write quite a few things back in the time until it was so easily hacked and my sites were hacked that I had to give it up and start writing extensions properly. The JED came with the system to have tickets, to have reviews, to have extensions. However, in 2019, they had to move to using RS tickets, which is why if you look at this lovely graph, and more importantly, the date of the last ticket, it's 2019. So all that is pretty much useless for us in the JED team. The audit is supposed to list and track everything that's happening. Again, doesn't work. The reviews work, that's nice. And this is the bottom of that page where we have extensions. It's all Ajax based, so it's very slow. You start typing in there, it's automatically sending the data back and trying to feed the information before you've actually hit enter, which gets a bit frustrating. So just popping back to the top of the page, it's saying that there's 6,506 extensions. This was on Sunday. However, the underlying data has actually 13,000 rows in the extensions table. So that's roughly half of them have been unpublished. But it's still having to search through all that data every time it does a query, every time it does a public display. 110,000 reviews, quite pleased with that. But the way that it's all coded is a mixture of tying an extension database into articles, into UCM data, into categories, and then a whole load of Fabric thrown in on top. So trying to break it apart and repair it has been quite difficult. So I'm just using screenshots for this part because literally if I loaded that page up, we'd be here for 15 minutes waiting for the Ajax. So just going on, this is the extensions page. We can type part of it, we can type part of the developer. any of the search, it goes off, it finds it. If we click on the little star, we get an extensions page. This is just a random one I chose, but effectively it just goes down and down and down with information. Under content, there's all the text descriptions. Under pricing, there's pricing, understandably. Reviews, it lists every review. So if we get a ticket asking us to make a decision, or the developer feels a review is unfair, we have to open up a tab, call up the extensions, click through, go into the reviews, find the review, read it, but at least here they're all in place. Email allows us to send standard messages back out, and another extension shows everything that the developers worked on, whether it's published or unpublished. Reviews works the same way. We have a list, we have a star, it can view and edit it. It's very boring user interface, as you can see, but it did the job. This is the current ticket system. It's just normal RS Tickets Pro, but it's very difficult to actually know what you're looking at until you click through. And if we did click through, that's what we actually get for a ticket. So there's no way of just saying, oh, show me that information. There's no way of really getting an idea of it. Now, in this case, this particular ticket, it is an issue between him and the developer. He's paid for something, he's not got what he's paid for. And as JED, we're not allowed to get involved. That's part of the terms. However, what we would do is probably take it back to our team, see if other people have had issues with this developer, and then decide whether to actually contact the developer and find out what's going on. But that's pretty much existing JED. So I mentioned earlier that I got involved in December 2020. Initially, I was sent a specification document that you can find at, let me find, where is the type chat window gone? Okay, I'll post this in at the end. There's a design specification document that was created in 2020 based on what they knew of JED 3 and what they hoped for JED 4. My task was to take that, understand it, and then look at what I could start doing. I had access to the Joomla 3 version of the code, all the Fabric code, so at least I could get an idea. And what I did was I created my own local installation of that, so I could see what it's supposed to do and check, because at that point, I didn't have access to the back end of JED. I didn't actually start having access to the tickets until I became assistant team leader 6 months ago. So a lot of what I've created is a mixture of that document and show and tell. So early 21, there'd been 3 developers working on the project. There'd been 1 weekend sprint in which basic code for extensions and reviews had been written beautifully in Joomla 3. And by that point, 2 of the developers were no longer working on it. There was just Roland. And although the design document mentioned vulnerable items, that turned out to be a bolt-on to the old system. So in consultation with Wilco, who's the operations department controller, I analysed the data requirements by going through the forms, and then creating the data structures, and then creating the front end and the back end and tables to hold all that, and created a vulnerable item system. Initially, I used the Joomla component builder, Llewellyn's software, which was great to get something very quick, but I then struggled on how to get it to take my customizations back into it. Wilco was concerned because we were developing it in Joomla 3 and Joomla 4 was coming. So we pulled the whole thing back and rewrote it in Joomla 4. And to get an initial prototype, we used Jensen's component creator. So that gave me a framework, that gave me details that I could then move my user interface code into. It has been through so many iterations of demonstration and variation, but that's what I'm going to show you in a moment. So at that point, we had a full front end submitted vulnerable items, ability to view and edit them in Administrator, but there was no front end code for extensions or reviews because my understanding was other developers were working on that. So I'm going to show you, let's see if it's showing that window. Okay. So this is JED testing server. It's mine and it's hiding, but this is the back end. What we ended up doing was, or what I ended up doing was writing a complete ticket system that holds objects. So an object that gets submitted can then be embedded within the ticket, whether that's a vulnerable item report, an extension, or a review. So as part of that, we created categories. So we have all the standard messages that come in. We have the different types of ticket that can be made. We have departments or kind of sub-teams within the JED team. So a ticket can just be assigned to a vulnerable specialist. And we have linked item types with their models. This means that when the ticket comes in and says its linked ID is 2, we know what model to actually grab. So all the code within uses these lookup tables and then creates multiple models within the component. And then eventually, earlier this year, when I got asked to do the reviews and extensions, we have created this ability to extend supply options. So you can have free extensions, you can have paid extensions. In the future, you might have extensions that you buy off the back of a lorry. You know, you could add a lorry in there. What this meant, what was happening was for one extension, it would have lots and lots of information, the text, the demo link, the support link. And what we wanted to be able to do is say, well, actually, the free version has a different demo to the paid version. So a lot of the most recent coding has been experimenting and testing and working through getting this new data structure in place. So the last thing that's on here, copy JED3 data, actually will go to the JED3 database, extracting from RS forms, extracting from UCM data and the old system and the built-in fabric tables, and consolidate it all down into the new structure. So let me see where my slide is, because I think I've just missed something horribly. Okay, so I was saying about new structures. This is what we ended up doing, taking it from 3 tables to this many, but they now all integrate and work correctly. So it means that you can have a review that's free, a free extension, or a review for a paid extension, and you won't lose them, because currently if you change from a free to a paid, you lose all your reviews. So we're trying to keep the data and stop some of the unfairness that's been going on with JED before. So if flip that back. So going back to the front end, things that have been coded and that are currently running against live data. Don't know if you're aware of this, we have vulnerable lists in the extensions.joomla.org. So these are components that if you're using them on your site, you can check and either contact them and get an upgraded one, or find an alternative. So these are ones that haven't been fixed. These are ones that have been patched. And this is an abandoned one. It's abandoned because it was my code, the vel system that we then merged into JED. So again, front end stuff at the moment, we can report a vulnerable item, which I will show you very briefly. So yeah, I don't know how you guys code, but I use a lot of var dump and printrs, usually followed by an exit. It's like, is this object actually holding what I want it to? So I'm going to say, this report is by me, and it is called ComJED4, and it's version 4, and it's got information disclosure. So there's lots of information that we can put in, but the main thing, oh, consent, yes. So that has just created a ticket. If I go back into the back system and go to tickets, this is the new ticket system. This is what's been written from scratch, bespoke for Joomla. It, as I said, works on objects. In this case, the object is a vulnerable report. So it creates a tab with that object showing. I'm just going to, oh, I can move that. That's good. So within this, we've got a history of the messages. So in this case, a message has come into us, coming in, saying, see linked report. And when it received that, the back end automatically sent that out to the person. Now, we have lots of different standard messages. So I could say not enough detail, and it uses Ajax to go off and find that, pull it in. Then we hit send, it stores send message, and it died. Blast. We're trying to get the code to stop using deprecated commands, and one of the big ones it uses is get user. And I did a search and replace at the weekend, and I've obviously missed one. So, oh well, I was expecting something. Internally, we can add notes. So we can say that we are and that now comes up there, and we end up with a history of anyone that's dealt with the ticket can add notes. Now, vulnerable items have to be accepted and created. So in this case, we have a linked val report and we can create an entry. Also, because we knew it's a vulnerable item, it's automatically been assigned to the val specialist. It could be redirected to listings or anything like that, and then that would be picked up. Likewise, we've also got the statuses of the reports. So in this case, it is a vulnerable issue, so we will create an entry. This is now the val system. It's containing all the information that the old one had, which I know doesn't mean much to any of you, but for the lady that runs the val system, this is the first time she's actually been able to do and have input on how it works. So we've got our original report. We have a public description that at the moment is empty. And we have titles. So if I hit that, it auto generates. We can then fill out whatever's needed, save, publish, and that will then go live on the website. So that's one aspect of the val ticket, so the new JED ticket system. The other thing that we've done is implemented all of the categories, all of the products, pulling in the artwork from the current JED 3. So if I go to site security, now this interface is what was defined in one of the code sprints in 2020. I think it was done by Annabelle. It was either Annabelle or Sander. So I was given the CSS and the mock styling and had the JED 3 code and then pulled it all together. So this gives us our different supply options, all of the information, all the reviews, and the ability to write a review. Again, this is mirroring, but using the latest templates, what currently is in the extension system. We have nice little cool slidey buttons, which took hours to get working. And at the end, submit, creates a ticket. Now, the difference between this and the val system, we have the review that was linked, but because it's linked to an extension, it also goes off and finds everything about that extension. And the latest thing that we're working on, when I demoed this to Jazz and other members of the team, I've been playing with this idea of having ticket help, because when we're working through a ticket, there's always, oh, what else have they done? What have the tickets been created? So we now have this. Now, because I created it as test user and I'm not a developer as far as JED's concerned, we've created a copy of this block just using Nicholas's ID and then pulling all the data based on his ID. So this is a list of all the extensions that he's got on the system, list of some of the reviews, old tickets, and for some reason one called Hi There. I think that's a debugging one. So this is pretty much where we're at with the JED 4 prototype. Just rippling through that to see. Sorry, my screen's just gone. Yeah. So one of the reasons I'm here is because there's a lot of us that are volunteering for Joomla. And if you guys are using it commercially and can give even a little bit of time back, it would benefit all of us. It would be a way of getting Joomla back up to the level that it was a couple of years ago. There's little tasks, there's artwork, there's marketing, there's all sorts of things that people need. Within JED, coming along and helping do some of the tickets would be useful. If you're really good at CSS or templating and styling, please come and get involved in the JED 4 project. I can do it, but I usually end up having to use tools to do it. I know my limitations. I can be a graphic designer, but I prefer to code. We need testers, refiners, developers, but we also need to code things like JED 3 has an API that if you've ever used install from web when you're installing an extension, the main Joomla uses JED's API to pull that data from JED. And for JED 4, it's not written. It needs to be started again and written from scratch. There's analysis code that needs writing. There's scoring of reviews. There's all sorts of things that, as a team of developers, we could do quickly. However, on my own, you've seen what's taken me 2 years to do. Admittedly, the extensions and reviews I've only had 3 months to do, and the rest of it was me going, oh, I'll just refine that. I'll make that better. I'll twist that. So, yeah, that's what I've been doing within Joomla. Any questions? Or anything you want to see again, or anything else? Olivia, are you muted?
Yeah, I just realized that. We have AlterBrains. Does JED 4 have a public repository? He's asking.
Okay, JED 4 public repository is due in about 2 weeks. We've been waiting on Benjamin to set it up clean again, because the version that's there is a 4.1 from the beginning of 2020 that Roland was maintaining. I got to the point where I was coding, trying to upload it, not able to actually approve the pull request, then sitting there twiddling my thumbs for several days, waiting for that before I could work on the next bit. So I pulled the whole thing off. If you want to see the code, drop me your email and or drop me your GitHub, and I'll add you to the repository until it's live. But it's basically a proper extension. So you can drop admin/component/comjed, component/comjed, media comjed, library, and hit discover, and it will install. Admittedly, now with an error.
Yeah, is actually saying that they would be excited to help you with that. So if you do you have any information about how to contact you in the team, or?
I will. I was trying to get the chat up earlier and it wouldn't let me. Right.
Maybe now we can.
Okay, so
Mark, can I ask you something?
yeah,
Is there any planning behind this, or you are just do trial and error and you see if something fits and you go on?
there is a plan behind it all, yes, but a lot of it has come. We have a design specification that is being modified slightly because some of the information that's in there, well, actually a lot of the information that's in there was written by people that don't do the job. So you end up with, as you saw, lovely charts, but they're no use if you're trying to get to the information. You don't want to know how many tickets have been answered and how many haven't. That's a management thing. So what I've been trying to do is get a working prototype, primarily getting the infrastructure underneath. So the next step that was planned was we need the front end for extensions to allow them to be uploaded. That will then in turn create a object of extension model, pass the information in, that will then store it down and fire it into a ticket ready for review. So there, when the public GitHub comes available, everything that needs doing from little jobs to big jobs are going to be listed there under issues, and then people can say, I'll take this one and take it on, and then it'll get passed back up into the review cycle, and hopefully it'll all work beautifully. Right.
In terms of features, how far do you think you are from the end?
Of the whole project, I would say about another 6 months. If we could work on it more than I've been able to. I lost my dad last Christmas, and I also work for my wife's company, Joomla. One of the reasons I was able to volunteer was because I had that time. I lost quite a bit of time this summer, and I actually had to put the whole project down for about 6 weeks. Then we started discussing it on Facebook, and then it became, oh, you can do a talk about it. And then it was like, oh my goodness, I need to get all this back up and running and checking where it's at. And now the operations team lead and everyone's gone, oh, we need that. So it's speeding back up. So the more volunteers, the more help we can get, the faster we can get it done. I've put my email addresses in there. I'm going to stop that share, which should allow me to get to GitHub.
Yeah, in case people don't see it in the chat when it's recorded, it's the mark.fleeson@community.joomla.org.
Or
So
mark at Burning Light.
Yeah.
And if you want to read the design spec, if you go to github/joomla/com_JED4, top of the page, there's the original design spec. Actually, I will just share this. I tend to work in mind maps. Have you come across mind maps before? Okay, a mind map is basically like a spiky diagram. So this is all the information from the design spec broken down. So this was our original planning document of requirements, of ideas, of thought. And this is what Jazz Roland and myself worked on and worked from to create where we're at today. It's quite mind-boggling. But all this is stuff that's going to go into the public beta so people can actually read it, and because there's no documentation. This is one of the things I'm learning. The internal teams been very good at keeping things going, but everything's been passed on word of mouth or in a Google Meet. So I'm trying wherever possible to get things together. So I don't know if this will. So just to give you an idea, this is all the details for a ticket list. All the coding is currently done using PHP Storm. If you haven't used that before, Joomla does have community licenses, which if you're working on the JED project, we can talk Harold into letting you have one. PHP Storm's an amazing editor because it allows you to view parent objects, and it does code layout correctly, and it will basically error check the whole project, not just the code that you're working on. I spent about 9 months writing everything in Dreamweaver before I was given PHP Storm, and it sped me up so much. So
we have another question in the chat. Alterbrains ask if you did actually explore the possibility to use third-party ticket system, or was it something that shouldn't you wanted our
the
own,
reason the reason that we didn't go for third party was because then we would be what we currently have, which is a ticket comes in and then you've still got to go into another system to get the information, to cross-check. While a ticket system would, a pre-built ticket system might be good, having this one, which actually is very simple. When you see the code in the GitHub, it's very powerful, it's very fast, and it isn't bloated with features that we don't need. So that's why we've not gone to a third-party system, because writing the bolt onto a third party to get all the JED stuff would be as big a job as writing it in its own self.
Do you have all the way of transferring data from the old system to the new one, or is it something that you still need help on getting that done?
The old data to the new is sorted. What we have using wait, which screen am I sharing? I'm showing that one. Let's change to, sorry, I've got too many windows up.
Welcome to my world.
Yeah. Is it gone? That's okay. If I just share that screen and then find the right window. No, wrong window. That window. Okay, so under config, we've got copy JED 3. If I hit go, it
we don't see it. Did you share it?
Yeah, is it not showing? Oh, darn it.
Oh.
Hang on. Loop. Loop. You see that?
Yeah.
Little box with a big blue go button. Right. What that does is reads a set of SQL. So if PHP Storm will load, come on. Migrate JED. So to migrate the data, it uses all of this SQL.
But do people see it? No, we don't see it.
You don't see it?
No.
Okay, right. Where's the controller gone? Zoom. Right. Told you I don't do this that often. PHP Storm. Right. Use that. Okay, do you see PHP Storm?
Yeah, we're good.
Okay, so the code built into the back end, when you hit go, it reads this XML file and it creates temporary tables to combine all the information from multiple sources, and then it runs through lots and lots of SQL. So we combine, we attach paid, we add main logos, we add free logos, we add master fields. So it's always the case with old data. You've got empty fields that then crash if they don't get corrected. So everything to do with the actual migration is embedded within the component. So if when it actually comes time to go live, we can just hit go and it pulls this off. Now I've got a copy of the JED 3 from March this year running on my local server, and this talks to that table, and it takes it about 2.5 minutes to transfer everything from users to reviews. I mean, this is combining everything, stripping apart. The way reviews are currently stored is one giant string with bracketed ease of use and bracketed ease of use. So we're using regex to actually pull those out into individual fields. We're taking, there are so many RS forms and RS ticket data that all needs to be kept. So everything in this is how we migrate. I wrote this in March this year. And I wanted something that wasn't just an SQL statement, but something that we could edit. So at any point, I can just create a new heading, give it a description that it shows on screen as it's running, and an SQL to run. And the SQL can be as long as you want, and it just separates it via the normal semicolon.
That's very interesting. Yeah, it's actually pretty fast considering the amount of data you must have.
Well, roughly 210,000 rows between the extensions and the reviews. Users, something similar. And okay, that is machined. So within the same machine, it's moving the data. But the software is set up that we can, as long as the firewall's open, we can connect to the old machine and run it across the net. Might take slightly longer, but at least it's all in place.
Mark, can I say some things?
Yes,
About
please.
my first impression. I think you have created a very nice backend that everything goes flowly there, but in the front end is missing many things, in my opinion.
Yes, definitely.
And I haven't seen anything fixed from all the things we are complaining all those years. For example, the review system is terrible. I didn't see any change in that. It has to simplify it a lot to be, especially the text boxes. we will not encounter such a review system in any marketplace now, and all of them using a single text area to write your text. So putting someone in the place to write 4 different paragraphs for just one review is very painful, I think. Secondly, I don't know what's your opinion about the search in the catalog. Which solution will you use there?
What do you mean sets?
Search, the search engine. How the extensions will be searched by the users. Now the current JED uses the Algolia solution, if you know that. It's an SAS platform.
Okay. No, I don't know about that.
Yeah, and it's a very powerful search engine. There's when we're talking about 8,000 extensions, we need to consider this very carefully.
Yeah.
Then what about ordering? How the extensions will be ordered?
They currently are ordered by their ranking.
By the reviews.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
I'm not saying that's right or wrong. I'm just saying that's what the specification was to do it. So that's why.
What
That's why.
say is that before any further development goes on beyond the backend, I'm always talking about the front end. It needs to have some planning.
Yes.
Start from some features that were requested for years, and I think it needs some UX specialist there, and start from there, and then go to the development. Otherwise, we go just to the black, to the darkness, you know, and we may end up in a product that does not fit very well to our customers, our users, you know. That's
yes,
my
I agree.
opinion, my humble opinion.
No, it's a good one. The comments that you've said about requested changes, if you know where they are stored, or you'd like to make them and email them to me, please do.
Okay.
Because a lot of stuff's happened that hasn't been kept, or issues were created in GitHub and then they were moved to another project, then moved to another project, and they've not been passed back. So this is why I'm saying we need help. So if you want to come and help and make suggestions for the user interface, that would be amazing.
Yes, but we have to find our orientation before we go there. That's what I'm saying. Okay, going and developing features is okay. It's easy for me. But
the other thing that's happening with JED is Crystal and the experience team, as well as the accessibility team, are getting involved. Once it goes public, they're going to be involved in all the user interface and the UX design.
Yeah, okay. Crystal could be very helpful in that, I think.
Okay.
Yeah, a lot of the teams that have been newly created also so getting involved. So like it's like Mark said that Crystal, which is the head of the UX team that's been newly created, she's gonna get involved for all these UX issues. So Mark is not doing the whole thing all by himself. He needs to have all these people that give him feedback, they give him some help, and it's very important that if you have even if you have a little, if you like it or if you have complaints about the JED, you please raise your voice, because we need to hear about all this.
Yeah.
And actually, it's going to be nice to have it on GitHub, like, because then you're going to have people starting to put, you know, what's not working for them, and you will be starting to have issues recorded properly in the system, and we can keep trace of it.
Stephen asked if the ticketing systems used to add, update and categorize extensions. Every item that is submitted goes through the ticket system just for approval. But as a developer, you can go in and edit your extension details. So once it's been created in the system, you log in as a developer and you can then say, oh, actually, I want to change it from that category to this category, and you can do that.
There's one thing, there's one thing I always didn't like about the JED is that you cannot edit your answer to a review, for example, or as a developer.
Well, one thing I've added is developer comments to a review. So that will be able to be done.
So the little details like that are very helpful.
Yeah, that would be helpful. Maybe they could help alleviate a misconception or a misunderstanding about the extension, you know.
Okay.
Any
Great.
other?
Thank you, Mark. This was a great presentation.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Wow.
Well,
Incredible.
there's a lot going on.
Yeah.
There's a lot going on in the backend. You've been through a lot of stuff. It looks actually from the old system to the new system, it definitely is an improvement.
Yeah, thanks for all that work. It's really interesting to see what's happening behind the scenes.
Because we don't necessarily consider all that work that has to be done in the back.
No, I have to say, I'm not sure how far I'd have got in the early days without the component creator, Jensen's code. But I've also been giving back to that project, saying things like, hey, you know, when you're auto-generating all these things, well, that's wrong, and that's wrong, and that's wrong. And this is all stuff I'm finding. One of the best things about working inside Joomla is having access to developers who know so much more than I do. And I can ask a question in the internal discussion things and say, how do I do this? And then you get about 5 different versions. That's all this is the case. But one of them usually works. For me, the biggest issue is when things are deprecated. And, you know, last week it was you use getDBO, and then 4.2, it's you use, what's it? This get database or this dull?
Yes, get database, yeah.
Get database. But that only works in models.
Yes. But
So if you've got a controller, it's...
They shouldn't deprecate your code. I mean, you will get maybe a warning, but they shouldn't break the code. They should be able to do both still.
No, it breaks PHP storm now. It throws loads of errors.
That's why it goes. Okay. Well, no, because if the editor doesn't warn you, you should still be able to use both.
Yeah.
I mean, we're not deprecating any code, even for 5.0. The code is going to remain the same. It's better to use, you know, these that get database. But
what would be good to pass back into both you as 4.3 and Roland as 5? Some kind of page that just says, hey guys, we're doing this now. So this.get database was one of those chance things that I went, where did that come from?
Yeah, the one thing is we are doing, starting this version of 4.3 is to enforce documentation when a new feature or change comes out.
Good.
Nothing is included in the release until the documentation is done. So that forces people who write the code to also write the documentation and then make sure that anything that's new is documented or changed. Yeah. So from now on, it will be easier for the developers to find out what's going wrong.
Good.
Yeah. Well, thank you very much, Mark.
Thanks for having me.
If you don't have any more questions, we can end this meeting. And then please reach out to Mark or to me, and we will really pass the information along and pass your information. If you want to get involved, you can get to the volunteers portal also. I'm saying that not necessarily for people who are here, because I'm pretty sure you're already on the volunteer portal somewhere. But if there are any people out there who are interested in getting involved, please register to the volunteer portal, and then we'll get you from there, and then we can make you part of the team if you want to be part of it, or just somebody who can give feedback. I mean, any kind of position is also a big help. So thank you very much to everybody, and thank you very much, Mark, for showing us what have you've been working on.
Thank you.
I definitely want to get involved later on when I'm done with my release stuff. This is a nice project to work on. Really
Yeah.
nice.
Please come and play.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you very much. And I
problem.
guess we can end this meeting, and then hopefully we'll see you the next one.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thanks, everyone. Thank you, Mark. And
Thank you,
I'm
Mark
going to
and
share.